You guys, I just found the most incredible Mother's Day gift. It's called Goldbelly. Goldbelly is this amazing site where you can get the most iconic foods from restaurants all across the U.S., shipped anywhere in the country for free in time for Mother's Day. We're talking cakes from Ina Garten and Martha Stewart, Magnolia Bakery's famous banana pudding, and New York bagel brunches. Make Mother's Day perfect with Goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MOM. That's Goldbelly.com, promo code MOM.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Well, first of all, I have to start right here because I talk about my son so much. So my son, his name is Judah, and I absolutely wholeheartedly love him. But I just got word, and by the time he hears this, it'll be okay. I just got word that he won the Black History Month competition at school for a poem that he wrote. And Judah, I got to give you your flowers. I love you so much. You are such a great artist. He had a Black History Month project, and the grand prize is $30. And he already said, Dad, you already know what I'm going to get these Robux. And I'm like, okay, you win the competition, you do that and get your Robux. His mother, she tapped me on the shoulder, and she was like, hey, I want you to help him with his Black History Month project. Will you do that with him together? I was like, yeah, of course. So he came over one of the weekends, and I'm going over the paper with him, and it says you can write a poem, you can draw a picture, and there was one more thing I can't put my finger on it what it was. And Judah loves to draw. And I said, Judah, what do you want to do? He was like, I want to draw it. And I could tell he didn't want to do the project. I was like, you're choosing drawing because that's the easy way for you to get out of it. And I said, no, let's not draw. And I was like, I understand you don't want to do this. It's not like the funnest thing for you to do, but you wholeheartedly need to do this. And it's very important for you to challenge yourself while doing this. The instructions on the project were to choose someone local from Black history lore. So he goes to school in Louisville. So we looked up someone from the Louisville area, and we looked up Zach Rollins, who was born in 1846 and died in 1911. And we found out all sorts of interesting facts about Zach Rollins in his journey here. And in finding out certain facts, I got to explain certain things to my son about sharecropping during that time, about what life looked like after, and I put after in quotations, after slavery for a Black man, and moving throughout the Deep South and the antebellum South and coming up on and through. So we started to craft this poem together, and I would say, okay, well, let's think of this. I was like, what do you think? And I would have him give me a line. So he would give me a line, and then I'm like, okay, cool. I would write the line down for him. Now, how do you want to go from there? And if he got stuck, I would kind of provide him a little through line, like, okay, well, this gets you through to the next one. What do you want to say next? And craft it from there, so on and so forth. Because I wanted to show him, for one, don't choose the easiest thing that you can do. Sometimes the easiest thing you can do is not the best thing that you can do. And that was the challenge of presenting him, like, don't just draw the picture. I know you can draw. I know you love drawing. We know that, but challenge yourself in another art form. So in doing that, congratulations to you, Judah. I am elated, man, like that you're my son, first and foremost, and that I got to have that moment for you. And maybe I can get a recording of him reading it, and then I'll share it with everyone. So that I just had to give that shout out to my son. Can't go on without that.
That's beautiful.
All power and glory go to God. All greatness is from God. When a hero stumbles, well, the cowards rejoice. Nothing feels better to a coward than to watch a brave guy fall.
Welcome to By Far the Dopest Version. Today we are heading to Nashville, but not just for the mainstream story that you've always heard, right? We're exploring the deep and often overlooked role Black artists have played in shaping country music. From the Chitlin Circuit to today's modern resurgence, the influence runs deep. And with Beyonce shaking things up with Cowboy Carter, it's the perfect time to talk about Black legacy in country music and Americana music. This came to the forefront of my attention. First of all, I have to say I'm not a huge country music fan. I listen to a few country songs here and there. Like, I have to really be in some sort of mood to listen to country music. I've always perceived country music as a genre that hasn't really shown me myself. And through that, that couldn't be further from the truth. You just have to dive deeper into what exactly it is. So Beyonce, and then to the Beehive out there, like, please take it easy on me. Take it easy on me. But I have to be completely honest when I'm speaking about these things. When Cowboy Carter came out, I couldn't have cared nonetheless, except for the talk that was centered around her not being country. And I have to admit, I could see why people were saying that. And I can't just be completely biased on one side. It's like you're coming from another genre of music. For me, my whole life, Beyonce had been R&B on that side of things, from Destiny's Child into her beginning her solo career. So for her to cross over into country, I could see why people were like, this isn't a country album. This is not where the genre fits. It challenged me. What's up?
So
Yeah.
I'm coming around. You see me peeking at
Yeah.
But doesn't that just prove her whole point, though? Like, who gets to make up the rules that she can only stay in one genre?
And that,
right? And then if we see her counterparts, they can move around anywhere. If Justin Timberlake want to do R&B, no
fine.
one says anything.
Nothing.
And so, it's the vicious double standard for me.
And I want to talk about that double standard because I pointed one out. My most recent one was Post Malone.
Okay.
I feel like we've seen it with Post Malone. We've seen it with Kid Rock.
Facts.
And Kid Rock took a major turn, like, Jesus. We see them come in through these avenues of hip hop and rap, and to be accepted in the culture and celebrated, like heavily celebrated. That's the one thing. I just saw a video on Instagram, and was another. He's a white R&B artist, beautiful voice, but I was like, nope. I said nope, because they gatekeep. Their gatekeeping is wrong on a level, because I feel like it's racially motivated, 100% racially motivated in certain areas. But in the Black art form, they're accepted, championed, and celebrated. And then when they go off to these other forms and don't come back to the form, all is fine, all is well. No one says or bats an eye. But as soon as Beyonce decides she wants to make a country album, that is when the backlash starts. And most of it, I feel, is 100% racially driven. And the fact that she hadn't started out as a country artist. But even for Black artists who have started out as country artists, how have they been treated within that space?
Well, can I ask, did you feel some kind of way that she, dipped over into the country lane?
I felt no type of way about it.
Okay.
I would say when I first heard the songs, I was like, okay, well, the definition of country, I was like, this doesn't sound like country music to me. And as I started to dig deeper,
yes,
and deeper and deeper, and it's not meant to sound like country that isn't from the culture. It is a sound of country that is made specifically, for one, she likes it. It's made specifically for those who have been underrepresented, something for them to be able to identify with and listen to and have something to go off of, because there is a large, whether you like it or not, there is a large cowboy culture that is Black. Tailored media and events that feed your undiscovered needs, period. The Watts Dome is an energetic hub on Patreon, inviting you to join our creative community. Members can access exclusive content, interviews, including special episodes from our top podcast, It Doesn't Work That Way, By Far the Dopest Version, and Everything Hidden. Additionally, subscribers will receive invites to special live events in cities like New York, Atlanta, Miami, Dallas, and Los Angeles, as well as unique tutorials. Nobody does it better than the Watts Podcast Network. And we're starting to see more and more of it on social media. You're seeing them. You got the Compton Cowboys. In Compton, California, there are a group of Black cowboys that ride horses through Compton, that have a farm out there, that take care of the horses. You see trail rides going on down in like the Houston and in the deep South in Alabama and Mississippi. So there are Black cowboys. It's interesting to me because the word cowboy was actually originally used as a slur. Cowboy was a slur that was used for Black men. They called them cowboys, but it started, and the white men were called cattlemen or cowhands. But the term cowboy started catching on. It's so cool that the Dallas Cowboys are named the Cowboys, and they're the biggest brand in the sports world, not just in the United States. They are that's how cool it was. So then that the term was that white men started to take the term that they originally used to degrade someone, and were like, oh, well, this is caught on. Well, I think I'm gonna take it too. So it kind of drowned out what a cowboy looked like, because then we got Westerns where they were showing white cowboys all the time. I think there are very few Westerns where it is centered around a Black cowboy. So they whitewashed what a cowboy looks like, when in reality, a cowboy is Black. A cowboy can be Latino, Mexican, vaquero. That means cowboy. A cowboy can be white, as we see, but just for this area to gatekeep the way they had, and for it to be racially motivated, and the way I say for it to be racially motivated, I have to point out another artist that made a venture over that way. His name is Shabuzi, and I heard an interview where one of the winners, I believe, at the Country Music Awards, he went out of his way to pronounce his name incorrect, and in a very demeaning way about kicking his ass or kicking his butt per se. And I was like, okay, this is what is the why? What is the reason behind this? Why has this continued to happen? And why have mainstream country artists forgotten the pioneers of country music? When are they going to open their eyes and realize that the roots of country music begin in African American traditions? So from the banjos, the blues, and early folk storytelling, I read a Times article that the banjo is a direct cousin of a West African lute made out of gourds. Gourds are like these, are like the big squash that you see that are like decorations at Thanksgiving time. They got like all the lumps on them and anything like that. The gourds, they would string those up, and that is where the banjo came from. And that is where the antithesis and the birth of country music starts at. And then it spreads out. Once again, it's something that the African American community created that was taken, and then we take it from you, and then we don't allow you to be a part of it, or we say that it is no longer yours. I'm going to talk about artists like DeFord Bailey. If you don't know who DeFord Bailey is, I'll give you one of his songs, Ice Water Blues. Definitely go and look that up, because these are people who don't need to be forgotten. Now, I'm not telling you to change up your whole mind frame of what you listen to, because most of what I listen to is rap and R&B. But these are gentlemen and ladies that need to be celebrated. We have Charlie Pride. Charlie Pride, I think he died in 2020, so not too long ago. Go listen to his song, Kiss the Angel Good Morning. We have so many artists in that genre that aren't openly celebrated in mainstream, I would say in mainstream Black culture, it's more so a niche culture that we need to definitely celebrate and put them back at the forefront. Even Ray Charles, some of his music plays in that vein of country and blues and R&B of where that is at. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about it. Now, I'm going to make reference to a video, and it was Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton, he was from The Voice. Blake Shelton made mention that if she, and he was referring to Beyonce in this video, from what I believe, if she wants to be accepted, she has to play at the Grand Ole Opry. I found that highly offensive. For one, I don't think you have the right to tell a Black woman where she needs to go and play in order to be accepted. For two, you're not a high enough artist to speak to Beyonce and tell her where she needs to go to be accepted. It was something that was extremely offensive to me to try to tell her, in order to gain acceptance from us in the community as a whole, you have to come over here and play. No. Why am I, what is it? What is the saying? Spite my face.
Don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Why would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
You've made it known how you felt about me. And in researching these articles, there were things back in 2016 that were popping up with Beyonce in country music. So this hasn't been one that is new. She made reference in one of her albums about her roots coming through Louisiana and Alabama, and saying like, if that's not country, I don't know what country is.
Mm-hmm.
She said, she came from Alabama Moonshiners and she's Louisiana Creole.
Right.
If that's not country, then what is country? One thing I like about Beyonce on this tour, and I'm sure that I know she released some tickets because some of the people who are her fans were like, give us a break. We don't have any money right now. We can't buy anything from you. But she released her tour dates on the Chitlin Circuit, and I'll get into what the Chitlin Circuit is. But someone commented and put, no Nashville? No Nashville. I don't need to go to a place that does not like me,
Mm-hmm.
that does not want me there, in order to be accepted in a space.
Facts.
The music space, for one, is not one place. It's universal.
Right.
It's universal. So when she called it the Chitlin Circuit, that put a smile on my face. If you're not familiar with the Chitlin Circuit was a network of venues. Now, the venues may have been owned by white owners, but they were a network, some of them owned by white owners, let me say this, but they were a network of venues, theaters, that allowed for African Americans to come and play in a area that was safe to them. All right, let's talk about it. No, seriously, that's what we do on So About That. Whether it's breaking down why nostalgia is a scam, figuring out if we're actually bad at relationships, or asking why activism has turned into a digital performance, this podcast is where culture, curiosity, and a little bit of side-eye come together. Hosted by Jordan Hora, So About That is for the thinkers, the overanalyzers, and the ones who love a good debate over brunch. We're building community, challenging beliefs, and probably exposing a few of our own contradictions along the way. It's all love, though. New episodes drop bi-weekly. Listen to So About That anywhere you get your podcasts, because if we're going to talk about it, we might as well really talk about it. For example, Billie Holiday, they talked about Billie Holiday. I was watching, catching bits and pieces of the Apollo documentary that is on Netflix. I believe the Apollo documentary is on Netflix. Billie Holiday has a song called Strange Fruit. Billie Holiday believe she was dropped from her label because of that song. They didn't want to put it on the album. Why did they not want to put it on the album? Well, Strange Fruit talks about black bodies hanging from trees in the South. And a lot of her albums sold in the South, and the record company was more, instead of them being interested in the truth being told, the record company was more so worried about offending their buying audience as opposed to presenting the truth to them. Think about that. They were more worried about how someone would feel about the truths of what was happening in the South, as opposed to what was really happening and trying to figure out a solution to stop lynchings in the South. It's a disgusting thing. So in Billie Holiday's traveling around while she was a performing artist, the only place where she would perform this song would be on the Chitlin Circuit because it was home and there were people there who could identify with what was being said. Another artist who was great on the Chitlin Circuit, his name was Little Willie John. At the age of 12, I read a story. He used to sneak out of the house and he would go down, to one of the Chitlin Circuit theaters and he would sing. By the time of 18, he had a smash hit. In 1956, it was called Fever. If you don't know the song Fever, I'm going to give you a little snippet of it.
You never know how much I love you. Never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a feeling that's so hard to bear. You give me fever.
Now, although he died at age 30, his impression was felt. This is what we call a lasting legacy, and a lasting legacy within country music, black country music. The Chitlin Circuit played through cities such as Harlem. You would play at the Cotton Club or the Apollo. In Chicago, they had the DeLisa or the Regal Theater. In Tulsa, they had the Big Ten Ballroom. And in order to know that you truly made it within that circuit, there were 4 places that you had to play. They would say the Regal in Chicago, the Howard in DC, the Uptown in Philly, and the Apollo in Harlem. Now, that is a beautiful listing. That is history. We would find places like these from Annapolis, Maryland, Atlanta, Georgia, Austin, Texas, small cities, Hobson City, Alabama, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Idlewild, Michigan. These were just some of the places that were along the Chitlin Circuit that allowed for black artists to have a safe space to perform their art and also make money at the same time. And it allowed for patrons to come in and listen and be wholeheartedly at ease and know that it was safe for them to express themselves or listen to some good music and be accepted amongst their own. Those performance spaces shaped everything. Everything from blues and soul to early rock and roll and country. I don't know why we have a problem in this country with giving reference to where it started at. That doesn't take away from anything that you're doing. But why do we have a problem with saying this is where it started and this is where it is at right now? And this is what happened. This is how it turned to this. I don't understand that. What do you get off of that? What do you get off of trying to hinder someone who is in pursuing the art just like you're pursuing the art? Why is that a constant thing that is in this country? It's just like the reaction to Cowboy Carter and what it represents in terms of breaking down barriers is historically segregated. That genre is historically segregated. It reminds me of Linda Martell. In the 1960s, she attempted to move from R&B and soul, and she was met with racism as well. Why is racism inherent in country music? I understand that it shares the bounds with the smaller towns within the Deep South, but why is it continually at the forefront? I may mention the Post Malone earlier, or any artist, Eminem, any artist who's not brown that comes into the hip hop space. It is not a safeguarded area like that where they're met with backlash or anything like that. They're open, like, oh dang, hey, yo, that's great. And I'm sure there are exceptions. There are exceptions to every rule. And I'm sure that there are country artists out there who are accepting of African American or black country artists that come into the genre or who make the switch over. But in totality, the generalization of it is that it's not very welcoming, not very accepted. Right? So the ongoing conversation about ownership and authenticity in country music is one that I have my ear to now. Even though I'm not a fan of country music per se, of course, I do have a couple songs that, like I said, I do listen to. And actually kind of ashamed now that I listen to them, that I've heard some of them speak. Like, I had one of my favorite songs was Amarillo Sky by Jason Aldean. And then I got to hear Jason Aldean really say or speak about some of the things, and I need to go and probably do further research, but kind of say and speak about some of the things that I'm just like, dang, man, that's who you are. Like, goodness gracious. I used to sing that song at the top of my lungs. I really like that song. I do like some George Strait. Come on, I'm from Texas. How could you not like a few George Strait songs at the least, even if you're not a cowboy? It's just, I don't know, it's mind baffling to me. So I literally try to understand what is happening. What is happening? And like I said earlier, I understand the pushback somewhat. But I also understand that her album wasn't meant to sound like the traditional or the mainstream country album. It's not that. So there are 3 things I want you to take away from this. Black artists have always shaped country music. Their influence needs to be recognized more and more and more. They need to be talked about. And it's up to me to champion that. And for me to bring it out as someone whose main art form as far as music is hip hop and rap. 2, spaces like the Chitlin Circuit laid the groundwork for today's artists. I'm completely grateful for that, because Black artists deserve a space to be safe in the art that they're creating, especially during that time period where you could be taken out for anything. I'm thankful for the Chitlin Circuit allowing Billie Holiday to have a space to sing Strange Fruit. Yeah, it's a song that makes you uncomfortable. It should 100% make you uncomfortable. There should be nothing comfortable about hanging black bodies in trees or hanging bodies in trees. Period. There's absolutely nothing that should be comfortable about that. Takeaway number 3. Genre lines are meant to be crossed. Music is evolving and history is being rewritten in real time. That line, you shouldn't need permission to cross. If you're an artist, you're an artist. As an actor, if I decide I want to paint a picture tomorrow, I'm going to paint a picture. And hopefully I'm going to paint one that I like and not worry about, if my goal is not to sell it. My goal is to paint something that I like. If I decide I want to go write some poetry, I'm going to go write some poetry. I'm still an artist. I can cross over between acting and art and poetry. I can go anywhere I want. And I don't have to go specific places in order to be fully accepted. So I want to encourage the listeners of this show to explore Black pioneers in country and folk music. Switch that sound up. Let's go stream something that we haven't heard as of yet. Let's get a full understanding of what it looks like and what this is. That's what I want to encourage. And that's definitely something that I will be doing. So what I want you to do is like, comment, share, and subscribe. Go to wattsproductions.com/podcast. Drop me a line. Yo, if you listen to country music, any Black artists that you think that I need to know, any artist period in the genre that you think that I need to know that are still that need some recognition, please drop me a line and let me know. I will listen to the music. But remember, you don't need permission to exist in spaces. The space is for you as well. And that is how you become, by far, the dopest version. We out.